What's going on, everyone? So that Orlando Magic game almost feels like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? That Orlando game has been the game since that Lakers have just been a disaster. And I talked about it leading into the Orlando game, right? On various live streams on Stan's Lakers and all that stuff where no, you saw the Lakers time and time again just play with their food too much. I talked like, at what point does that come back and bite you? At what point does, messing around too much and all of a sudden you fumble a game that you're not supposed to, right? And you saw that in Orlando, right? But the problem was, it wasn't just they fumbled it, they kept it a tight game and, Franz hit the game winner. I mean, obviously he hit the game winner, but it wasn't that. It was the lack of free throws from Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and then also Anthony Davis. Now, look, I am more frustrated at LeBron James and in particular Anthony Davis because one, Austin Reeves, yes, he missed the free throws. A lot of people are like, oh, what about Austin Reeves? But his came at like the 3:30 mark, right? Like there was still 3.5 minutes to play. LeBron James and Anthony Davis literally came down during crunch time down the stretch to close and seal the game. Now, again, Anthony Davis, I hold a lot more accountable than LeBron James because he missed like 4 of them down the stretch where LeBron just missed the one. But still, you got to make your free throws. And so many people I got, hey, you're overreacting. It's not a big deal. It's only one game. It happens. This, that, and the other. Well, since that game, it has been a total dumpster fire. Lakers are 6-8. They've lost during this stretch by a total of 20 points per game. Not that they've won 6 out of 8, they've lost 6 out of 8, and they probably should have lost the Utah game, which would have been 7 out of 8. If it wasn't for Will Hardy calling that timeout, that game might have been very different. Right? So again, this has been an absolute disaster since Orlando, which is why I've talked about. It's not just one game. Going into that Orlando game, it was 10-4? Right? Feeling good, looking good. We're like the 3 seed, half a game out of the 1 seed. And then, boom. This is the Western Conference. Not just one game. It's not just, hey, it's fine. No. One game is the difference between you being a play-in team or a playoff team. The difference between you missing the playoffs or being in the play-in. You being a top 4 seed or you being the 6 seed. Right? Like the Western Conference has been so tight the last few seasons. Literally. I mean, even right now, a game separates essentially like 3 through 11. And then even like the 12th seed is only like, a game and a half out or whatever. Like it is so insanely tight. Like if Lakers were to go on like an extended win streak, which I don't, at this point, I don't really even try. They did win on 6 straight, but it's frustrating. However, if they went on like an extended win streak, you could be right back into the 1 seed, right? But you could also go on an extended losing streak and be, 14th, right? That's just how the West is. It is so tight. There's barely any margin for error. Austin Reeves is missed. He's going to end up missing his 4th game, right? You have Anthony Davis who he's essentially completely forgot how to shoot free throws. The guy's shooting like 50% from the free throw line since that Orlando game, and it's been a disaster. I mean, even in that Heat game, right? Like, obviously, the 2 free throws weren't the difference, but it's still the fact that he only went 50% from the foul line. It's like Anthony Davis is in his own head ever since. I mean, he gave an absolute dud in these last 2 games. He's had a couple nice games since, but he's looked out of sorts since then. It's almost like he's gotten in his own head since that Orlando game. And then he gets smacked, ran through by Denver, and it's been a mess. Right? These games aren't even competitive. These games aren't even close, which is what is so frustrating. It's not like these are hard-fought games and Lakers are just taking L's. And I even talked about this before, right? Like, people were like, oh, even on that 6-game win streak and stuff like that, right? People were like, oh, Lakers are this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you also got to look at how we're winning. We're not winning in dominant fashion. We're beating the bad teams, which is good. But we're not winning in a manner in which you should be winning if you're a real team, right? You look at teams like, Boston, Denver, and these things, right? Bad losses happen. It happens. I'm not talking about any given loss. I'm talking more so about the wins, right? And tight wins happen from time to time too. But every game, you're letting these teams hang around. Every game, it's like you're playing with your food, and just every game, some random is turning into Steph Curry. Every game, teams are using you as shooting practice. Like, where's the pride? Where's the effort? Where's the energy? Right? Again, I don't think it's that. I think it's just lack of talent. I don't think they have the athletes. They're not good enough. LeBron, yes, he had a great game against Miami, but he had his struggles during that stretch. And hopefully he kind of can get back into the swing of things. Hopefully he can kind of get back into the flow of things going forward. We'll see what happens with him tomorrow because he's questionable. I think that they should sit him. I think that they should rest LeBron James and just kind of like basically give him like a week off. Because if you sit him these next 2 games, he'd basically get a week off. Then he'd only have to play 2 games. And then he gets another 4 days off. He'd have to play 2 games in a 2-week span. Literally. Counting like today because he got the day off. He'd get a week off for his next game. And then he'd play those 2 games. And then he'd get another 4 days off. And those games aren't back to back, so you get a day in between. Right? So like literally, he'd play 2 games in a 2-week span, in a 14-day span. I think he might need it. I think he might need the rest. I know he wants to play the 82 games, but even JJ was like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea, dude. Right? Like, again, I love that LeBron is committed and he wants to do that, but we also need the best version of LeBron possible. Again, he looked great in the Miami game, but he's clearly in a funk or just tired or whatever. And it's also, you got to keep in mind, right? Like, because so many people, it's father time. It's not father time, right? Like, it is to an extent. Like, where I think father time has came in, because we've seen LeBron can just take over and go give you 30. He can do it on any given night, but he can't do it every night. And I also think where father time really shows is in the bad games, right? Like, a bad game for LeBron was like 23, 7, and 7. It's like, for anybody else, that would be like a career stat line. But for LeBron, it was like, oh man, LeBron's is on a bad stretch. Well, now that stat line is like, 12, 4, and 4, right? Like, that's the difference, right? Like, that's where the problem lies. And he has like 6 turnovers, and like that's where I think father time is really hurting him. Is the bad games are really bad. The bad games are like unplayably bad, right? Where, LeBron had a bad game. It's like you still are winning most of those just because he's so good, controls the game, takes over. He just can't do that stuff anymore. And again, that's fine. He's in year 22, age 40. It's not necessarily a knock on him, but it's just a realization, right? It's like he's clearly not who he used to be. And I think he needs as much rest in time to kind of get himself right as possible. And I just think, you sit him, you rest him. But, again, it's up to these other guys. LeBron James and Anthony Davis have to score 60 a night for us just to be competitive. Not even necessarily win. Just for us to literally just be in the games. It was the same thing last season. Right? LeBron was averaging like 30 early in the season, and we weren't even winning. We were still losing. Right? Like, that's the problem. And the problem is you never know who's going to show up. Like, you don't know what Austin Reeves you're going to get, right? Obviously, he's out tomorrow, but the next game he's back, right? Or let's give him a couple games, right? Because people are going to be like, whoa, he's the first game back from injury. Okay, well, what about all the other games? But, like, you cannot confidently say, oh, Austin Reeves is going to go give you 15 tonight, right? On any given night. You can't, because you don't know. Is he going to be 25 Reeves? Or is he going to be, 8-point Reeves, and he's 3 of 12 or 3 of 15, and, 6 of those 8 points, or half of those points came from free throws or whatever. Like, it's just, you don't know what Reeves you're going to get. Same thing with D'Lo. Are you going to get, 20 and 6 D'Lo that's hitting threes and playing with confidence and wheeling and dealing and getting guys involved and doing all this crazy? Are you going to get, 4 and 2 D'Lo? It's just like, again, you can't on a nightly basis be confident that D'Lo is going to give you something, right? What D'Lo is going to show up. Same thing with Rui. Like, none of these guys, you don't know who you can count on and who you can't. Right? Even Dalton Connect is having a struggle right now. I don't really mention him very much or talk about him very much because he's a rookie. He's not supposed to be your third best player. He's not supposed to ever be leading your team in scoring. But he's done it 4 times this season, right? Like, it's just, and that's great for him. But he's going to, again, you can't be so reliant on rookie. Like, what real team is relying on your rookie to be your second best player? You know, like, talk about, like, contending team. Right? Like, it's crazy that, the guys that we're relying on, look, I like Reeves. Reeves is a role guy. It's just the reality. He's not a third guy, not a third option. If he's your 4th, 5th, 6th guy, you're probably good. You're probably a very good basketball team. But as your third guy, we see it. You're slightly above 500, right? Like, D'Angelo Russell, right? Like, he's, again, your 4th, 5th, 6th guy, you're probably really good. Right? But as your third guy on any given night, it's tough. Same thing with Rui. It's just we don't have the athletes, we don't have the talent, right? It's just it's so much of like, oh, it's effort. At what point is it like, okay, it's not effort, it's just they're not good enough? At what point is it's the talent? Like, how long? I mean, we've got a 1.5-year sample size now, where it's just like so these guys just aren't showing up every other game. Or is it just they're just not good enough? They just don't have the talent to do it. They're not good enough shooting the basketball, and they don't have or are capable of doing anything else. That's what I think the reality is. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.